Good morning and welcome to the third episode of Ahargana. It's about 10:30 in the morning and I'm standing here in the midst of nature. The sun is definitely not shining on my head or my eyes. It's a very dull, cloudy day and I'm standing in the midst of nature. There are tall trees all around me providing a lot of shade. And this is perfect for growing coffee, shade-grown coffee. I'm standing in the midst of a coffee plantation in Chikmagaluru, which is in Karnataka, and almost 75% of the coffee produced in India is grown in Karnataka, in Chikmagaluru, in Kodagu, and in the Sakleshpur areas. Both Arabica and Robusta coffees are grown here, and you can see around me three classic elements of any coffee plantation in this region. The first is the coffee plants, which is on the ground, covering the ground, the undergrowth. These are young plants, so they are only coming up to my knee level or waist level. If you have slightly older plants, they can come up to 5 feet, 6 feet tall. Secondly, you see the tall silver oak trees, which primarily provide the shade which is required for this shade-grown coffee. The silver oak tree, also the leaves of the silver oak tree are used as manure for the coffee. And finally, it is an additional source of revenue because if there is a bad coffee crop, then the silver oak can be monetized. Thirdly, you can see on the silver oak tree the pepper creepers growing. And pepper is also a very strong secondary source of revenue for the coffee planters. So these are the three classic elements of a coffee plantation in this region, and needless to say, it's beautiful. Though it's a dull day, though it's not bright and sunny, it's extremely pleasant, extremely beautiful. I can hear the birds chirping. There's not much of wind blowing. It's very, very still day today, but it's fantastic to be in the midst of nature and in the midst of a coffee plantation, because like most South Indians, I'm a coffee drinker. This is what nature does for us with a little help from man. It provides us the coffee, provides me and the other South Indians the coffee that wakes us up in the morning. But I'm not here, as you all know, to talk about coffee growing and Chikmagaluru and nature. I am here to talk about the Hindu calendar. So the topic is not about nature on this scale, but the topic is about Hindu calendar, which is on a much grander scale. It's on a celestial scale. In the previous two episodes, we have already seen the basics of the Hindu calendar. We have looked at the geocentric model of the Hindu calendar. Subsequently, I have explained to you the different mana of time. Then we started talking about the Chandra Masa, and you have already seen the Pakshas and the Chandra Masa. So in this episode, we will talk about the Chandra Varsha. Varsha roughly means a year. Now the definition of a Chandra Varsha is very simple. It is 12 Chandra Masa make a Chandra Varsha. 12 months make a year. That is very straightforward. That is very arithmetic in nature. It doesn't even seem astronomical. But there are a few subtleties to it which I would like to point out. The first subtlety is, why pick the number 12? Why not say 10 Chandramasas make a Chandra Varsha? Why not say 15 Chandramasas make a Chandra Varsha? Yeah, or 20 Chandramasas make a Chandra Varsha? Why 12? Where did this base 12 number system come from? What is the purpose of this base 12? Base 12 meaning once you reach 12, you reset back to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until 12, then reset back to 1, 2, 3, 4 until 12. And remember, not only the Hindu calendar, the Christian calendar, which we all follow, does the same thing. January to December, 12 months make a year. Why 12? So if you want the answer to that, the answer is not explicitly stated in the Surya Siddhanta, but it's pretty much there. It's staring us in the face. In the previous episode, I have pointed out that one Chandra Masa is 29.5 days. Now, if you do the arithmetic and multiply that by 12, you will get to 354 days. That is 11 days short of 365. Now we all know 365 is the magic number because that's the number of solar days which make up a year in the Christian calendar and also in the Hindu calendar in the saura Varsha. I will talk about that later in one of the future episodes. But the Chandra Varsha falls 11 days short. Let me put it this way, it falls only 11 days short, meaning 12 Chandra Masas almost make up 365. A different way of putting it and a more illustrative way of putting it is, so you know that a solar year is the time the sun takes to make one full orbit around the earth in a geocentric model. Now when I say 12 Chandra Masas make up a Chandra Varsha, that is the time taken by the moon to make 12 rotations. What that means is in the time the leisurely sun takes to make one complete rotation around the earth, the very quick and nimble moon makes 12 rotations. Bum, 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 bum. And that is why the number 12 is picked. Because the Sauramana Varsha is kind of being correlated with the Chandramana Varsha, or the other way around. The Chandramana Varsha is being correlated by the Sauramana Varsha. If I take only 10 Chandramana Masas, it will be far short. Sun will not have completed one cycle. Sun will be somewhere here, hasn't completed, but already the moon has done 10. So this attempt to coordinate two different definitions of Varsha is what results in the number 12 being picked. This will become more clear when you look at the Stellarium animation. The second subtlety I want to point out, so if you take the Chandramana Masas, they have certain names. Chaitra, Vaishaka, Jyeshta, Ashada, Shravana, etc. etc. Out of it, Surya Siddhanta picks Chaitra as the first month. Why? See, if you have 12 months, which one is the first? I mean, how do you know? At some point in ancient times, somebody says, this is the first month, this is Chaitra, and then they kept on going, repeating Chaitra, Vaishaka, Jyeshta, Ashada, Shravana, etc., etc., etc. Or is there a specific reason why they picked that Chaitra Masa as the first month of a Chandra Varsha? Why does it start with Chaitra? The answer to this is more complex. I cannot fully explain it at this point in time. It has to do with the position of the sun. Though Chandra Varsha is defined with respect to the moon, the starting point of a Chandra Varsha, i.e. Chaitra Masa, is defined with respect to position of the sun. I will explain this a little bit more in the Stellarium animation, but this explanation needs to continue when we get into Sauramana also. So enough of verbal explanations. Let me dive into the Stellarium animation, which is again very rudimentary. It's going to show you the moon going round and round and round 12 times. You've already seen it going around once in the last episode. Now I will show you the moon going 12 times. But it will explain a lot of things when you actually see it. So take a look.
Okay, let's get started. In the last episode, we saw all about Amavasya, Purnima, Krishna Paksha, Shukla Paksha and Chandra Masa. But in that episode, I did not specify the name of the Chandra Masa. I did not say which Masa I was talking about. In this episode, I will get more specific on that. I'm going to illustrate the 12 Masas that make up a Chandra Varsha. Like in the previous episode, the starting point of this episode is also an Amavasya, but this time I am very specific and saying it is Phalguna Amavasya. Why Phalguna? Because Phalguna is the last month of a Chandramana Varsha. And that is the right place to start so that we can see the complete next month, starting with Chaitra. Chaitra is the first month. The date on which this animation is starting is April 12th, 2021, April 12th. Please remember that date. Now I'm going to roll this animation and you will see Chaitra Masa starting from here and proceeding into all the 12 masas. Here goes. So Chaitra Masa has started, and this is Chaitra Purnima, and that ends Shukla Paksha of Chaitra Masa. Now Krishna Paksha has started of Chaitra Masa, and that ends with Chaitra Amavasya. And not only the Krishna Paksha ends, the Chaitra Masa itself ends on Chaitra Amavasya. Next, Vaishaka Masa has started, Shukla Paksha, Vaishaka Purnima, and it is also a lunar eclipse. That is what Stellarium showed you there. Now Vaishaka Masa Krishna Paksha, and that ends with Vaishaka Amavasya. And this repeats again and again and again. We are in Jyeshta Masa now. Jyeshta Purnima. And Jyeshta Amavasya. Next, Ashada Masa has started. Ashada Purnima. And Ashada Amavasya. Next, Shravana Masa has started. That is Shravana Purnima. And Shravana Amavasya. Bhadrapada Masa. Bhadrapada Purnima. Krishna Paksha of Bhadrapada ends with Bhadrapada Amavasya. Then Ashvina Masa, Ashvina Purnima, moving on through Krishna Paksha to Ashvina Amavasya. Kartika Masa, Kartika Purnima, that is also a lunar eclipse. And Kartika Amavasya. Margashirsha Masa, Margashirsha Purnima, and Margashirsha Amavasya. Pausha Masa, Pausha Purnima, Pausha Amavasya. Then Magha Masa, Magha Purnima, and Magha Amavasya. Finally, Phalguna Masa, Shukla Paksha, Phalguna Purnima, going on through Phalguna Krishna Paksha, and it ends on Phalguna Amavasya. So this brings us to the end of a Chandramana Varsha, the 12 months we have seen. We started with Phalguna Amavasya of the previous Varsha, and now we have ended up with Phalguna Amavasya of the current Varsha. So now if you look at the date where we have stopped now, it is April 1st, 2022. Remember, we started on April 12th, 2021. And now we have ended the Varsha on April 1st, 2022. And these dates I'm showing you here are the Christian dates. Now, these two dates are nothing but the dates of two Chandramana Yugadis. Now, ideally that term should have been Varshadi because it's the beginning of a Chandramana Varsha. But for some reason, our traditions have named these as Yugadi. And these are Chandramana Yugadi because these are the beginnings of Chandramana Varshas. And you're already seeing the two consecutive Chandramana Yugadi dates differ. They don't fall on the same date on the Christian calendar. And it's because you saw, we are following an astronomical phenomena called Amavasya. And as per the astronomical phenomena, they don't come back to 365 days. They fell short by 11 days. The previous year was April 12th. Now it is April 1st. So it falls short by 11 days. And this falling short by 11 days is also visually available to you. As in the previous episode, this plus marks where this animation started. That is the Phalguna Amavasya of the previous year. Now at the end of 12 months, we have stopped here. We went completely through all of these because the sun was also moving, Amavasya was moving. So every month the Amavasya kept shifting, and finally the next Phalguna Amavasya has come here, not back to where it actually started, not exactly back to where it started. It fell short by 11 days. And the Christian calendar, I have already mentioned in the opening episode, it is based on a single astronomical phenomena, which is the movement of the sun around the earth over 365 days in a geocentric model. In fact, that is a key element in the Sauramana, which I will get into later in this series. But in effect, you can see that the Sauramana and the Chandramana years do not match, they differ. The Chandramana Varsha is 11 days short of a Sauramana Varsha. So we will talk more about this and the impact and the implications of this in later episodes. Also note that this gives you an explanation of why 12 chandramasas were taken to create a Chandra Varsha. Because at the end of 12 chandramasas, we are almost back to the starting point. We are just 12 days short. Now, if we had taken a decimal figure like 10 chandramasas, maybe that Amavasya would have been somewhere here. Or if you go beyond 12 chandramasas, then you will overtake the starting point, which for reasons which will become clear later is not desirable to do. So stopping short, a little bit short, is more easily manageable from a calendaric perspective. And this is why, in my opinion, Surya Siddhanta does not explain this. But to me, this seems to be the reason why the number 12 was picked as the number of months which make up a Chandramana Varsha. Now that you have understood the 12 Chandramasas and their names, I'm going to go one step further and explain to you where these names are derived from. The names of these 12 Chandramasas are derived from the names of 12 Nakshatra. So what is a Nakshatra? Now, the topic of Nakshatra I will cover in much greater detail in one of the later episodes. But I need to give you a sneak peek of Nakshatra at this point in time because the names of Chandramasas are derived from the names of Nakshatras. What does that mean? So let me get the animation going. I'm going to repeat the same animation with one additional information on it. Already you can see that I have turned on the stars. Some of them are bright and big, some of them are small, but the stars are turned on. And now I'm going to start the animation. And as soon as I start the animation, you will be able to see where Chaitra Masa derives its name from. Here goes. So here you see something called Chitra. And many of you will know that Chitra is a nakshatra. And here is the nakshatra. In the Western terminology, this would be called Spica. It's a bright star in the sky. So a nakshatra means a star. Now, the term nakshatra has multiple meanings. One of the basic meanings is it's a star, and that's what it is. So Chitra nakshatra is here. And you see that the full moon of this masa has happened in the vicinity of Chitra nakshatra. And hence, the entire masa is called Chaitra Masa. This is the convention. Once again, I repeat, it happened, the full moon happened in the vicinity of Chitra, not exactly where Chitra nakshatra is, but somewhere in the vicinity. The reason I say in the vicinity is, you know that Chandramana Varsha is not 365 days. So the next year, this full moon will happen somewhere here, and the year after that, this full moon will happen somewhere else, but broadly in the vicinity of Chitra nakshatra. this full moon happens, and hence the entire month is called Chaitra Masa. The same will repeat again and again. I am running the animation now. Chaitra Masa is coming to a close, and Vaishaka Masa has started. And you can see that Vaishaka Masa is deriving its name from Vaishaka Nakshatra. This is the second meaning of Nakshatra. It is not a single star, but a collection of stars. Again, in English, this would be called an asterism, whereas in Sanskrit, this collection of stars is also referred to as Nakshatra. So, Vaishaka Nakshatra is here, and the full moon is happening in the vicinity of Vaishaka Nakshatra. Hence, this month is called Vaishaka Masa. Let me continue. Vaishaka Masa, Krishna Paksha is in progress. And now we come to Jyeshta Masa, and here is Jyeshta Nakshatra. Again, it is an asterism. It's a very small, these are all very small asterisms. And the full moon is happening in the vicinity of Jyeshta Nakshatra. Hence, the entire month is called Jyeshta Masa. Continuing further, Jyeshta Masa, Krishna Paksha is coming to a close. And we switch to Ashada Masa. And here is Uttarashada. And once again, Purnima is happening in the vicinity of Ashada. It could be Purvashada or Uttarashada. They are two asterisms close to each other. And that is where Purnima is happening. Hence, this Masa is called Ashada Masa. Going further, so I'm giving you a peek into 12 of the 27 nakshatras. The next one is Shravana Nakshatra. So, Shravana Nakshatra, you see, is not on the ecliptic. It is quite to the north of the ecliptic. And the full moon in this particular case does not really seem to be anywhere close to Shravana Nakshatra. But like I said, in the next year, this full moon would happen here, in which case it kind of lines up with Shravana Nakshatra. So this is an approximate convention which is being used. So since this full moon is happening in the vicinity of Shravana Nakshatra, the entire Masa is called Shravana Masa. The next one, Shravana Masa coming to a close, and we switch to Bhadrapada Masa. And here is Purva Bhadrapada. You can see a line there, again multiple stars. Once again, this full moon can be in the vicinity of Purva Bhadrapada or Uttara Bhadrapada. In this case, it's in the vicinity of Purva Bhadrapada. Hence, the entire Masa is called Bhadrapada Masa. Next one, Bhadrapada coming to a close, and we are reaching Ashvina Masa, and here is Ashvini Nakshatra. And the full moon is pretty close to Ashvini Nakshatra, very much in the vicinity of Ashvini Nakshatra. Next, Ashvina Masa is coming to a close, and we proceed to Kartika Masa, and here is Kritika Nakshatra. And once again, that's an eclipse. And now just to show you what Stellarium is really doing here, I want to rewind the clock a little bit. So we are approaching full moon, and I will show you now an eclipse happening. Watch the moon, and there you see an eclipse is beginning to happen. The Earth's shadow is falling on the moon. That is the eclipse. It's pretty much completely covering the moon now, Earth's shadow. And from that is the full eclipse, and here onwards it starts receding. And the brightness of the full moon is once again visible. This is how Stellarium simulates eclipses. So getting back to the topic, Kartika Masa, because the full moon is happening in the vicinity of Kritika Nakshatra. Next, Kartika Masa coming to a close. And we are looking at Margashirsha Masa, and here is Mrigashiras Nakshatra, that is this part here. This is well to the south of the ecliptic, not at all on the ecliptic, but it's still aligned and hence in the vicinity of Margashirsha Nakshatra, and hence the Masa is Margashirsha Masa. Now Margashirsha coming to a close with Amavasya, and we switch to Pausha Masa, and here is Pushya Nakshatra, that's also multiple stars, and here's the full moon, and that is why this Masa is called Pausha Masa. Continuing further, Pausha Masa coming to a close, and we are in Magha Masa, and here is Magha Nakshatra. This is a single star, and not just in the vicinity, it's pretty much right there. It's pretty much where Magha Nakshatra is. Proceeding further, Magha Masa coming to a close, and we are getting into the final Masa of the year, Phalguna Masa, and here is Uttara Phalguni, and here is the full moon. So this is the sequence of actions, and this is how the months are deriving their name from the nakshatras. So I showed you 12 nakshatras in this process. There are in fact 27 of them, but I will get into details of these at a later point in time in a separate episode. But for this episode, it suffices if you know the nakshatra are indeed there, out there in the sky. Stellarium can show them to you, and they are either single stars or that can be a multiple stars, an asterism, forming an asterism. With that, I will close this series of animations for this episode. And once again, thank you very much for your patience. Thanks for watching.
We are now back in the terrestrial plane. I moved away from the coffee plantation into a small cafe. So in the Stellarium animation, you understood all about a Chandra Varsha. You saw the moon going round and round 12 times. I also pointed out to you that there is, even though this is Chandramana, there is a relevance to the position of the sun. That is what differentiates between the various masas. So we have covered a majority of Chandramana except for one very important and intriguing calendaric element, and that is the Tithi. And that will be the topic of the next episode. The Tithi is a very intriguing concept, and many people say a Tithi is a lunar day. Yes, it is a lunar day to the extent that the duration of a Tithi approximates close to 24 hours. Not exactly, it varies, but around 24 hours, the time wise. But calling it a day creates a tremendous amount of complications. So far, I've been using the term day in this web series predominantly to mean a solar day, sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunsets. You have day, night, day, night, day, night. That's what all of us use the word day to represent. A Tithi has nothing to do with that. A Tithi is completely different. Its definition is very geometric in nature, and that is a very important topic because a majority of our Hindu festivals are defined based on Tithi. Chandra Masa, Paksha and Tithi. These are the three elements which go in to define our Hindu festivals, majority of them, almost 99% of them. So that is the topic of the next episode. Until then, I will close this episode. Thank you very much for watching this episode, and if you liked it, please let me know. If you did not like it, please let me know. Is there something else I can do better? I would like to know. I value your feedback so that I can keep making improvements. There are still quite a few episodes left, so I can make course corrections if required. And until the next episode, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Until then, take care and bye-bye.